is an incredible guy.
Where you were asking earlier on about, whoa, you're working at a video store. Did you ever think, when did you start thinking about making your own stuff? Well, I was thinking about making my own stuff for like a long time, but these guys were actually doing it. But there is a truth. While I thought about it for a long time and always figured I would do that eventually, I did fall asleep for a few years. It was because working at that store, I just got caught up in the little life there. And it was, it's interesting because, you spent your 20s going to comedy clubs and, building a career. So I'm spending my 20s there. And, well, it's one of those things where it's like, well, this isn't my dream. This isn't what I wanted to do, working at a video store for years. I wanted to actually make movies. It's not my dream, what I'm doing. But it's dream adjacent. It's close to my dream. I get to watch movies all fucking day. I get to talk about movies all fucking day. I don't have to work at a pizza parlor. I'm not delivering pizzas. I'm not busting ass as a bartender. I'm not busting ass doing menial jobs. I mean, this is the kind of job I'd do if I'd go to this store if I wasn't paid to go to the store. So it's like, but for a couple of years, it did put me to sleep. It did kind of put me to sleep. It put my ambitions to sleep for a little bit because I was happy enough.
Yeah.
I was happy enough. And just like one of these days, Right,
but you didn't have the fire.
I didn't have the fire. And when I eventually got the fire back again, and it was a life-changing thing. It was a life-changing day. It was... we had a buddy of ours named Steve-O.
Yeah.
And he was one. We had different living arrangements, and at one point in time, me and Steve-O were living in the same house together, renting in towards the back of the store.
The dude house.
Yeah, it was where everyone would hang out. And but now Steve-O was older than the rest of us, so if he was about almost 5 years older than us, but he didn't seem like it. He was a young guy.
Yeah, 5 years younger mentally.
Yeah.
Or emotionally.
Yeah. And, but, so he hits 30, and he starts changing. He starts changing, drastically. He was one of the funniest guys I ever knew, and he was this really, really funny stoner dude, and really cool. And all of a sudden, he's angry about things. And now he's not quite as funny. And now he's got this issue. And so we're roommates. And there's this one night that he's kind of he's kind of disgusted with his life. And he starts ranting. And he's describing a situation that was very common if you were a kid growing up without a degree or anything in the 80s, especially in California, where it's you can't get any really good jobs, but you can work at Licorice Pizza. And if you're an okay employee, you could work at Licorice Pizza for a couple of years, and maybe you could even become assistant manager or a manager, and maybe they send you to another store, and maybe you work there for 3 years, and that's really great. But then, all of a sudden, the district manager doesn't like you. You run afoul of somebody higher up in corporate, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're fired and you're out in the street.
Again, it's management.
Yeah. Okay. And so now you've just spent 3 years at Licorice Pizza. Now you could get a job at TRW or some place that's a real job, or those are kind of hard to get. But you can work at Warehouse Records and Tapes tomorrow because you just had 3 years at Licorice Pizza. Same thing with Wild West Clothier, same thing with Miller's Outpost, same thing with any of these kind of stores. Next thing you know, you're 28, and the only jobs you've ever had are minimum wage jobs behind a counter that were designed for kids to pay for their gas.
Right.
And you've spent your entire 20s doing that.
And then you start getting bitter.
But he was not just bitter about the job aspect of it. I knew oh my God, he's telling me the truth. I'm learning something here. Because he goes, Quentin, you think that we're this really great team, we're this really great crew, Well, we are. I mean, this is that time of your 20s where like your group of friends or your family, And I'm like, well, we are. Quentin, at 20, I worked at South Bay Cinemas and I hung out with a bunch of guys just like you. And some girls there too. But it was a bunch of guys just like you. And then I stopped working at South Bay Cinema. Then I worked at Miller's Outpost and hung out with a bunch of guys just like you, and we did everything just like we do. We went to movies together. We went out and we dated amongst the girls there, everything. Yeah. Then I worked at Leisure Pizza for 4 years with a bunch of guys just like you. I've wasted my life hanging out with a bunch of guys just like you. And they all go away at a certain point. And I realized this guy's kind of telling the truth. He's showing me a truth about him. This is coming from somewhere. And then all of a sudden, he still hung around us. He still liked us. But then he started making it a point to touch base with some of his high school friends that were still around. So he's not just hanging out with guys 4 years younger or 5 years younger than him. Anyway, I'm turning 25 around this time. So I'm having my own little, okay, well, what have I done with my life so far? So far, fucking nothing. So I'm having my own little anxiety hitting 25, but I'm seeing what it's like 5 years from now.
Yeah.
When you turn 30.
Yeah, window to the future.
When you're turn 30 and you're in this situation. And there was like one night that I had what I used to call, I would do it every once in a while. I haven't done it in a long time, thankfully. I would have a Quentin Detest Fest where I'd stay up all night long. And rather than give myself excuses, I would look at everything that I'm fucking up in my life or everything I'm not doing or whatever and just not give myself any fucking excuses out. Just like nail it.